precious pickles. Gotta love them. Welcome to another edition of the Wandering Yuki Cheese Cafe, where we cover it all. Cooking, renos, grilling, microbrews, bad jokes galore, and then some. So if you remember my recipe from a little while back for making pickles, a lot of it was like relatively easy stuff that you can use. Mostly what you have in your spice rack or in your pantry. But I did something different this time. Added a little bit of pickling spice that I got from my mom. There's a nice melange of like some extra coriander, I guess basil, red pepper, allspice, and even things like cinnamon. I never would have guessed cinnamon would go well in pickles, but I have tried it over at her place, and it is good. So we'll see how my batch goes. And unlike the first time I showed how to make the pickles, this did not leak when I was giving it a good shake. Problem was, the lids are all starting to get kind of rusty, and they weren't snapping on properly. So what I had to do was get one of these. Your jars should be able to last a lifetime, but you get removable snap-on lids and the bands that you could replace, and then they're good for apparently up to 18 months. Those I think we never replaced since when my parents bought them. So it's long past overdue. All this to say, moving on to the next thing, I know I haven't been doing as many episodes because I find that it's kind of hard to put them together, sit at my computer when it's so nice outside, and I think, why do I want to be indoors? I want to be outside. I want to take advantage of the sun, the warmth, and basically everything while we still have it. But rest assured, more episodes will be coming along the way. And today, I'm going to be doing something a little simpler. I'm doing pancetta with a bit of pasta. We'll just call it the spaghetti alla pancetta. Is that the right recipe? Fuck if I know. It's just something I'm trying to come up with. And this is actually relatively easy to do. Like, you can whip it up in within 15 minutes. So I'm going to get started on that. But first, I kind of need to get some fuel going. So right now, I'm doing something from the Brasserie des Pareilles, whatever that's supposed to mean. And it's a 6.9% fucker. It's an IPA also. It's Ninja IPA, IPA International au Miel. So wait, a honey IPA? You've got to be kidding me. What the heck is this supposed to do with it? Like honey, is it supposed to be like a sweetener in here? So kind of like those honey brown ales that you get? But it's supposed to be also unfiltered, which makes me think it's one of the New England sorts of IPAs too. Taste of apricot, taste of peach. Ah, so that means that it's going to be an IPA that's of the New England or Nordeste type, but honey. I never would have guessed you could use that. Not even to mention that when I think IPAs, the first thing I never think of is a Ninja. What makes it so international though? International IPA of honey? Is that like one of the most national international ingredients of all time? And Ninjas. Do they put honey on their boots? Do they use that to kind of sneak around? That's how they walk around silently? On one hand, maybe I could understand that, but at the same time, I figure the friction and the noise of the honey and your foot dust, I guess walking around the floor is going to give your position away. Not very stealthy if you ask me. And just like that, someone's probably making a call to the funny farm now. Think, what is this guy on? Okay, first thing I could say, it's definitely unfiltered. So it's definitely of the New England sort of IPAs. But the other thing that I'm noticing is that it's got a bit of an amber color. So what that tells me is that the hops are probably going to be a little bit, shall we say, caramelized. Meaning that they probably cook the hops so that all the sugar is going to be released from it. Kind of like I've explained in the past. If you caramelize onions, they're going to turn brown, and they are going to become a little bit sweeter. I guess there's only one way to find out. A very interesting mix. Like, I could taste the honey in here, but it's not like an overpowering sweetness like most ambers are. It's almost like a very subtle one. Not a bad idea, honestly. And I kind of like the texture once again. Smooth hints of fruits. I can dig it. So, I guess I pulled out the right glass for today. I want to say, I'm the dude, man. Dig it. Yeah, not bad at all. I'll admit, when I saw this, I saw honey IPA, I was like, what the heck is supposed to be? Is it going to be too sweet? But I'm kind of impressed. And it's not too sweet like some amber, so I'm more than okay with that. So, moving on to the main part of the episode. I'm sure some people are going to be wondering, what the heck is a pancetta? Well, depending on where you go, it's either going to be like ham, or as the label calls it over here, they call it Italian-style bacon, which I can kind of see why, because you look at the texture of this, it kind of looks like a piece of bacon that's wrapped up, and that's really the thing, is they just take a slice of it, wrap it around into a circle, and then voila, you got pancetta. And it almost looks like the same texture, because I've kind of noticed this as I'm getting more acquainted with meats. Bacon, it looks like it takes pork belly, and then you just slice it up, and then that's how you get it. I never would have thought pork belly would be a thing. Tasty, but, you know, the best part of the pig is in the rump. At least that's what I think it is. A cartoon pig once told me that, so he kind of knows what he's talking about, right? Okay, people are going to think I'm crazy again. But yeah, that's what I've been learning a lot. These kind of meats, pretty tasty stuff. And it's probably going to be salty, but it's not that bad. Like, if you remember my hamon video, which I'll put a link for in the top corner, then that is basically just taking a pig's leg, and then you just dump it into a vat of salt, and then it cures on its own, reds up, and then it goes nice, and then you just slice it up. Like, as bad as salt can be for your excess amounts, that's probably better than, I guess, bologna, other kinds of meats where it's just basically mechanically separated parts, as opposed to a manually separated parts, because companies are too cheap to hire somebody to do it. They have machines to separate all the pieces of meat. Mechanically separated, then they're probably liquefied, or then solidified into a gel. That's kind of why I've noticed that turkey breast and chicken breast, when you get it at the meat counter, it's definitely not the same texture as chicken breast that you get, you know, fresh from the section. In fact, wait, what am I talking about? So anyways, this is what I'm going to be using today for supper, like I said. And just for full disclosure, this recipe I do is like one of my things I put together whenever I'm feeling in a ghetto mood. One of those that I don't know what to cook, but I always have pasta, I always have these ingredients, so that's like my slumming meal. So I'm just going to finish off this brew, and then we're going to get started on that. And we're back. So I decided to save us a little bit of a step. I prepared the pasta ahead of time so that you didn't have to see how that's done, because I'm sure by now everybody on the planet knows how to cook pasta. But if you're one of the few that doesn't, then, well, my suggestion is just buy those instant ramen packs. You know, the ones that if you were a kid you used to eat all dry by sprinkling all the seasoning and salt on and then just munching on it. You know, too much salt in there, but hey, at 25 cents a pack, it's always been economical. So pasta, it's basically whatever you would have wanted to use. I decided to go for some spaghetti because I wouldn't be able to call spaghetti a la pancetta if I didn't have the spaghetti. So once that's cooled, well, or at least once that's cooked, you would keep it aside. Rinse it in cold water too, because if you keep it like that, it's going to stick together and be really hard to cook. And then you just prepare a pan with some oil. Okay, you'll probably need like a good tablespoon worth, give or take. And then you can put it to medium heat. And then once it's warmed up enough, you can have it all spread out. And then you can add your next step, which is going to be some garlic. What I decided to do is I decided to chop up 2 cloves of garlic. For my recipe, you could probably get away with 1 clove, but it's written in the stars that if you're Ukrainian, you're almost guaranteed to have 2 cloves of garlic minimum. So I'm just going with the basics over here. And as you saw, I had my garden, I was picking up some stuff over there, and I decided I'm going to get some oregano too, and I've already minced that up. In terms of your quantity, you're probably going to want like maybe a good teaspoon worth once it's all diced up. That'll give you like the decent amount, because most stuff is going to require a teaspoon of dried oregano. Fresh is just as good, but that has a bit of a pungent smell if you're eating it raw, so it's best to always cook that. Alright. Starting to heat up a little bit, so let's spread this out. And then eventually, once this is warmed enough, the garlic is going to go in, and then the oregano, and then after that, the pasta. So they're warm enough. Time to add the garlic and the oregano. It's going to get a little bit of sizzling in here. So you'll know this thing is ready is if the garlic is starting to get a little bit translucent and clear, And you got the aroma of garlic all around the room. This oregano just needs to go for a couple of minutes too. But of course, if you're going to be cooking this with pasta, it's all going to be blending well together. Now I should probably put the fan on because I know that this is going to cause a little bit of steam.
There we go. Handful of minutes, and you got your recipe all set to go. You don't really need to cook this too long. You just have to get it all nice, coated, oiled, and make sure it's absorbing the flavor. So next, try to play this for the camera, of course. After you're done, cut the heat so you can avoid an accident. Get your garlicky pasta in the bowl, and there you go. But again, once you have the basics in there, like your garlic and your oil, then it's really just a matter of how you want to dress this up with your other ingredients. And it all comes down to personal preference too. In this case, I'm going with pancetta, which I've already cut up over here. You don't really have to cook this too, because there's already all this thing's already cured, and when you put this right with the pasta, it is going to kind of cook too with the remaining heat and oil in there. Obviously, if you're using something else, like I've done this with bacon before, you will have to cook that obviously. But with the bacon, one of the tricks I've used is I cook bacon in here and then use the remaining grease to cook my pasta and my garlic. And the heat of the bacon grease is always quicker than olive oil, I find. It's like incredible just how quick it chars up. And then as another touch, a bit of basil. A few leaves for like a final flavoring. Just like that. I got like maybe a good 6 leaves actually, just enough. And you don't have to cook this too because this is going to be rather tasty just plain. And there you go. This is some spaghetti alla pancetta. This is awesome stuff.
And here we are. Pancetta spaghetti all set to go. Of course, if you're a vegetarian and you don't want to have any kind of meat, you could replace this with some cheese. Copious amounts of cheese too, because the more cheese in here, the better, despite what some people will insist on. And yeah, I probably could have done this, simply because this wouldn't be the cheese cafe without some kind of cheese. But I suppose my bad jokes are cheese enough, so what do I care? So let's give this a good taste. Simple, basic ingredients, stuff that you have already in your pantry, possibly in your garden too, and voila. It just goes to show, you don't have to be super fancy all the time. You can do simple stuff, and it's still gonna come out fancy. But I think I'm also in need of something else. Because I'm realizing that I'm kind of empty here, and I need to decide on which brewer I'm gonna want to choose. Or maybe I could leave this to chance. So, what I'm hoping I could do is I'm going to give this a good smack. Maybe something will appear out of nowhere. Well, how appropriate. I hit this thing like a question block, and I get this new one from the Pixel Brewer. You obviously know what this is. And if you don't, get out of that rock, get into this something or other. Kart Racing Pills from Pixel. Obviously, it's a Super Mario Kart here. Pretty awesome, and I'll admit, I saw an ad for this online and thought, okay, there's no way I can buy this stuff, because this is such good shit. And it shows off all the items over here from the 16-bit era, the original Super Mario Kart. One of the best. You got your stars, your banana peels, because only in the Mario racing game is a banana peel like a weapon to use in a race. A feather, lightning bolt, well, I guess on the bright side, this is old school, so it doesn't have the most deadly weapon you can ever have if you ever race in the go-kart. Blue shells. Because especially in newer games, if you shoot a blue shell, whoever is first place, you're fucked. Deadly time. Because that's going to hit you like madness. Such good shit. And I'm actually surprised too, because this is a pilsner. Everything that Pixel has done has always been of the IPA variety. And always unfiltered for that matter too, so that means it's always a variation of the New England IPA. In this case, it's a light golden one, as they say, and it's really not that strong even. 3.9%. That's nothing at all. The important thing though is the taste test to see if there's a good flavor. Yep. Very nice and light, but it does have a taste too. So it's not like drinking piss water like people will say about some kind of beers. Overall, very satisfying. Oh, the question box left all of this stuff here too. Some good classics. Some I'm hoping to show later on in the future, like 1 or 2 of them. But you know what? All good. Not a bad way to wrap up my weekend. And to enjoy some more Salty Pig, the very essence of life. So thanks for watching again, everyone. It's been another edition of the Wandering Yuki Cheese Cafe. So once more, if you like what you see, you got a subscribe button below. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, leave a comment, leave a suggestion, and above all else, keep spreading this to anyone you think is going to like it. Hey, I live to entertain people, right? Right? Have a good evening, everyone.